I think Comp has like solid landing phase. He's a really great teammate, a really good player. He's definitely not the problem, right? It just maybe Crownie could be the solution.
Hi everyone, it's Tom reporting from the LEC Spring Split, and with me is Duke, the coach of Vitality, who unfortunately did just lose against Rogue, but had a 1-on-1 weekend overall, so there is some progress there. Duke, how are you doing at the moment?
Pretty good. I've seen worse days in this split so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, quite a few worse days. And actually for this interview, we'll end with this weekend because I think it's very promising to see what you guys deliver today. But I also want to dial it back a bit to the start of the split, which has gone pretty roughly so far. I saw a tweet from you in a later week where you said we were very enthusiastic about heading into the split, but after week 1, everything just crumbled. So can you just tell me about what went wrong and how this could go wrong within the team?
I mean, it's just that we are a super young team, and we were smashing scrims before the season against pretty much everyone. So we were super confident going into LEC. And the first week we played 3, I wouldn't say weak opponent, but non-top 4 opponents, because there is a clear top 4, I think, in LEC. And we were really confident, and we were ahead in every game, and we lost like 2 games with 5k gold lead. I think because of nerves issues, and this really destroyed our confidence. And like it went from 100 to 0. You know, I think there was such a difference between what we expected and the harsh reality of the result. Then everything was shattered, and then afterwards we had to face the top 4 in the next 2 weeks, and we got smashed. And from now on, you were 3 weeks before, you were thinking that you were going to be great, and in the end you end up being 1-6, I think. 1-6 after 3 weeks, and your mental, like, we were just shattered, and the players were like, we were not able to. We're not trusting themselves to fight, and we were not even taking the fights, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just, we had to basically start the process from the ground, but not talking really about game. It was mostly about mental. And I think we made a really good progress this week. Even if the game against Rogue was slow, but it was like, I think the comps, I think the draft was not ideal. We were a bit in a trap in draft regarding our priorities and their priorities, I would say. But we still got things that we wanted, but it was a slow game. But still, I think we fought when we could.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty decent game.
Yeah. Again, I'll come back to this game more towards the end, because I want to go by this chronologically. What you say is that you guys headed into this very confidently, so I assume that this is just based on how you guys are scrimming and how the team is progressing. That was all going well heading into the split.
Yeah, when scrims we were doing super well, even against top teams. Like, we had positive records against everyone, I think. Even G2. Rogue was back and forth. I mean, but it's kind of pointless to talk about scrim. I just talked to you. I mentioned it because this is why we were confident, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's important. That's important to understand, I think, and that's why you also say things crumbled. And I remember that for Skeens, especially last spring split, confidence was very important for him. That's also why he eventually ended up taking a step back and played on Vitality B for a while before he made his return in the summer split last year. Now, heading into the split, I spoke to him and he was super excited as well and super confident. And and I asked him there, how do you think it will go in case you guys aren't winning from the start, if you guys have a bad performance again? And he said, I think I'm not too worried about this time. So is this in general in the team then a bit of a surprise that everybody is taking it so harshly and is being so down, or is that just natural when you start so poorly that mentalities are gonna tank?
I mean, it's natural to be down, but I think it's specifically affecting this team. I think we have the youngest roster and the most inexperienced one in the LEC by far, and I think also the players are very emotional players. Which has some good upsides, but in this case can be dangerous. And you talk about Skins, of course. Again, that was his first. It was his first debut in LEC, and it was of course, like, he was really anxious about it, and I think he made a lot of progress on that topic. and now he's starting to feel more and more confident. And the rest of everyone was kind of nervous, and yeah, it just showed. So I think it's true for everyone, but especially for us.
Yeah, it's I think you have a very good perspective on your team, obviously, there, but it's also commendable that you say, okay, this is just a weak point of us. It's undeniable, but fortunately for you guys, now it's going a bit better. But one of the reasons that things might be changing is because you subbed out comp and got in Crownshot, which is a switch that surprised many people, I would say, because from the outside perspective, things were in the bot lane going pretty okay. Comp was not, as we would say, like the most underperforming player on the team. So it surprised many people. So could you give more reasoning besides you want Crownshot as a shot caller with more experience? Is that literally the only reason why you wanted Crownshot to be subbed in on Vitality?
No, it's not. I mean, it surprised many people that are really outside of the game. From what I heard, I think the people who are actually working at a decent level in the game, in the esports industry, were not that surprised. But so for those who have trouble understanding what they see on their screen, I mean, I think like basically Comp and Crowny are just two different sides of the coin. I think basically I don't think Comp was the problem, by the way. I think absolutely not. I think it's more that you look like we had to change because the team was so shattered that it was hard to ignite it again, you know. And the market is what it is, you know. You can't find ADC level that are unsigned in the middle of the split. Like it doesn't, like LEC players don't grow on the trees, you know. So it happened that Crowny was also like an ideal candidate for this, and Comp unfortunately was sharing the same role. And Crowny, it's not necessarily about shot calling, it's more about confidence, right? It's that we were not making the calls in the beginning. We were not making the calls to fight. Like where there was an objective, where like if you look at the game against Excel, you have Christ who is literally inting in front of us. He's walking 1v5, and instead of just hitting him and putting him 20% HP before the objective, we are just all walking forward, but he has no follow-up. And this was a classic example of the issues we were facing. And Crowny, he came into the team like, okay, guys, here we need to fight. So that was the important point. Aside of this, I think also Comp had a few moments where he got caught on important moments, but that's not a huge deal. I think Comp has like solid landing phase. He's a really great teammate. Really good player. He's definitely not the problem, right? It just maybe Crowny could be the solution.
Right. So, and that's fair to say. You also say for people who have trouble understanding what's happening on the screen, I imagine what I hear is you saying there is some more meta, more deeper level understanding that was going wrong for us, that by getting Crowny into the game is going to be fixed for us. So what do you mean by this specifically then? Because what we saw, I think you mentioned it earlier as well, is a very good point, that you guys ended up playing very scared. You were afraid to take fights. You were afraid to go for something when perhaps that would have been your window to win a game or climb back into the game or get an advantage. So is it there that Crownshot brings that confidence and says, okay, guys, but we go in here? Or are there other reasons, other moments where he brings that value for you at the moment?
I mean, I think, like for example, outside of this, I think Crowny is maybe more reliable due to his experience in mid-late game situation. And this is what I was referring with Comp. I think Comp is like a really strong at early game, really strong laning phase, really good mechanics, but sometimes doesn't have this. The experience of the older AD carries, right? You will take, for example, a player like Kobe, right? He's not necessarily the shining star of the early game, but I mean, when he was, I remember back in my days at Splice, he was not stomping lane or anything, but you could always count on him to clean up a team fight in mid-late game, right?
Yeah.
And in a sense, that's why you farm for as an ADC,
right?
And that's, I think, individually what Crowny brings more compared to Comp, but maybe we can argue maybe that Comp has stronger early game. I think that's like everything is on the table, but also like on a meta level, I think it's not only does he bring this experience and this confidence that was lacking in the team, but at some point you also need a change, because as coaches we could only do so much to make to motivate the team. But when the results are that bad, players at some point they don't even believe. They don't, and I think we just needed just a change, and just to have this usual honeymoon period. And did we have it instantly? Maybe not. Do we have it now? Unsure. But at least we are going in the right direction.
Yeah, that is definitely a good perspective to have on what he can bring to this fresh blood, just a new voice, something new that he brings in energy, I suppose. Now, looking at the score so far in the remainder of the weeks, obviously you guys are looking better right now. I said before, you said as well. Against Rogue you lost, but you guys look better. And yesterday, obviously, you won against Fnatic, which is a major victory to get for Vitality at this point in the league. I have to say though, at this point, playoffs seem unlikely, not impossible, of course. But I want to know from you, what is your goal for the remainder of the split? Is that we're gonna go for playoffs at all costs, or is it primarily we are gonna rebuild that confidence so we have that sustainability for longer this year?
It's kind of both. We always have the playoff in the back of our mind. Like Schalke led the way in a sense. Like everything is still possible. To be honest, like it's pretty unlikely. But if we grab a win next week against Mad or G2. Doable, hard but doable. Then we have to 5-0 the because again we played the top 4 in 2 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah.
So the last 2 weeks is the opposite of the top 4, the bottom 5, bottom 6 then with us. I mean, I think if we are on a good shape, I think the top 6 at the moment, the top 6 level is just very low. So if we are on a good shape, the same way that Schalke were on a good streak in summer, anything is possible. And maybe actually we're gonna lose them all. Who knows, But playoffs is still possible. But the main thing for us at this point is we invested a lot on rookies. What we want is to unlock them so that when summer split comes, which is by far the most important split in the season, they have passed this trial by fire that was Spring Split, and they have overcome their trauma, and they are just ready to fight. And I think that's the most important thing for us at this point.
All right, Duke, thank you so much for joining me. Very insightful to hear. And obviously for you guys, I hope that the next weeks are going to be more fruitful than the past 5 weeks have been for the team. So thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.